Die! 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 All right, and you just sprinkle the chives right in there, and there you go. You have perfect scrambled eggs. Yes, sirree, Bob. The absolute best combination of ingredients for the perfect just the best. If you had a series of 12 variations on scrambled eggs, this is a metaphor for the movie that I'm talking about. Just roll the thing. Why won't you die?
Did you know that a young boy drowned the year before those two others were killed? The counselors weren't paying any attention. They were making love while that young boy drowned. His name was Jason.
Tom Savini returns for, let's just be honest here, probably the best film in the Friday the 13th franchise. And boy, does he return. Damn, it's like he didn't trust us to read the credits. Joseph Zito had already directed The Prowler and would go on to direct such action classics as Missing in Action and Invasion USA. And coming in for this project, he became easily the best filmmaker to helm an entry thus far. Although you could make a pretty strong case for Steve Miner, man, the results just speak for themselves. He proves this time and time again, starting with this phenomenal opening crane shot leading into a Steadicam shot, which for such a low-budget film is both impressive from a production standpoint, and it just sets a tone for the rest of the movie. This is going to be the big one. This is the movie where Jason dies. Well, it's the 1984 movie where Jason dies. We're going to have to get used to that, actually. Yeah. So first off, let's just talk unique elements here. The death of Jason is obviously a unique element. This is the movie where he actually dies. It looks like he dies in part 3, and perhaps you could make a pretty good case for he did and just comes back to life anyway, but this is the first time where he is dead. We also get the introduction of Tommy Jarvis, who of course is going to be a major player for the next 2 entries in the franchise, of course played by different people, and who, it should be noted, is one of several very memorable characters here, including Crispin Glover as deadfuck Jimmy Mortimer, whose dance skills have gone down as one of the most important moments in cinema, I'd say. Actually, this whole cast is it's great, and probably the most memorable and likable batch of Vicks in the series. It even has that hot chick from Weird Science getting all naked and shit. Anywho, let's go back to that opening scene. I was talking to Brian over on the patron exclusive Discord, and he mentioned that Part 4 does the hospital setting better than Halloween 2, and yeah, it fucking does. And that leads directly into something I wanted to talk about. I wanted to kind of delve into for this review, just to kind of give a great example of how perfectly made this film is, and that's the just top-notch opening. So we have that killer first shot of the helicopter to start things off, which just, mwah, first of many chef's kisses. This leads into the barn where Jason was left after the finale of Part 3. Of course, it's all lovingly recreated on location, down to this little deer thing. Inside the barn, we get a quick scare revealing Jason's gross-ass hand, providing not only a little quick jolt for the marks in the audience, but also teasing us with what has to happen. Then everyone leaves, and Part 3's location is left behind in quiet darkness. Then we hold on that shot because, well, Joseph Zito knows what the fuck is up, man. As we enter the hospital, our paramedics walk by a room where a handful of parents are grieving, and who will be represented in a way by Rob later in the film. This is serious. People's children have been killed by this maniac who just got wheeled by in the hallway without them even noticing. The paramedics arrive at the morgue, where they're greeted by jokey perv Axel. Now we're transitioning. We've had time to let the seriousness permeate. We know that this is an epic finale and that we're dealing with a reasonably dark tone, so let's add some humor. Not too much, and hell, let's keep it pretty dark. Not too goofy, but in keeping with the sensibility that our audience will appreciate, maybe a little sophomoric. So we get Axel and his questionable eating habits.
Real cute girl. Was. Well, she still is.
He hits on Nurse Morgan and they engage in a little back and forth before sitting down and watching the exposition-heavy news right in front of Jason's body. Which, by the way, if somehow you didn't notice, just moved under its sheet right before then. We know where this is going. These characters aren't long for the world, so we get the start of a little hanky-panky, a tradition at this point. Followed by...
Jesus Christmas! Holy Jesus goddamn! Holy Jesus jumping Christmas shit!
Just the best scare. Just the best. You get Jason's hand, a carefully placed upskirt shot, and that dialogue. Beautiful. Mwah! Another one. Axel then gets that perfect starting death that I already mentioned. Nurse Morgan gets a massive gross hand over her face and a knife to her belly, and BAM! Cut to Mrs. Jarvis and her daughter Trish jogging, which in turn leads to our first look at Tommy in his alien mask, setting up the fact that he is, well, into masks and special effects makeup, and of course, what's he going to end up doing? He's going to end up confronting Jason in a very special, sort of metaphorical mask. Just great job. Honestly, I could probably go through the entire film like this, just sucking its dicks. Yeah, it has multiple dicks. That's how good it is. Just dicks. Just it's that good. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for a nice, simple, light review of this film, followed by the Blu-ray. So let's just dig on through and see what the overall feel is. You know, what we got here. What's the broad strokes? There's some broad strokes. Swimming, and it's a woman. Yeah, you get it. Now, regarding the humor, remember that morbidly fun hot dog joke in part 2? The final chapter is chock full of that type of humor, insomuch as it never feels too cartoonish or dumb like its predecessor, instead relying on dark or borderline winking at the audience jokes that show a deeper understanding. This is the 4th entry in a franchise built on the audience's love of likable, or at least unique characters meeting grisly ends. It's okay to be a bit daft at times, just don't insult the customer. Appeal to their sense of humor. And appeal it does. From Axel's sleazy corner shtick to the sex-crazed repartee between these two knuckleheads, the comedy that's laid out as we amble toward the more action-packed and serious finale is just, I'm gonna do it again. Corey Feldman's casting, and really the choice to have a preteen child be Jason's final nemesis, really shows how in tune the filmmakers were with their audience at this point. Hell, his name is Tom, and he works on special effects makeup. Come on, these guys were fucking thinkers, man. I'm shocked we didn't get a prolonged Fangoria shot like the last movie. Like that's how, like, almost on the nose, almost too on the nose that this movie gets. It never is, but it skirts the line, you know. It pokes and prods with its many dicks. So many dicks. Just a movie made of dicks. Barney Cohen's script wisely breaks up the formula a bit as well. We basically get 3 points of view. The Jarvis family, the quintessential group of horny teens, and Rob Dyer. The mysterious hiker, Tommy is a little too quick to trust.
Come on, I got something real neat to show you at my bedroom.
Ugh.
This is my mother.
Hello, this is...
Jarvis?
Oh look, a Gamera! Anyway, if Rob's surname is familiar to you at all, well, you pay a lot better attention than most. His sister Sandra Dyer was killed back in part 2, and he's come to Crystal Lake to investigate.
My sister Sandra was just a really great kid.
Suddenly, this universe just got a little more connected. But like most elements in part 4, it's a connection that doesn't strain belief or take up too much of our time. It's ladled out in perfectly measured portions, even if, well, it's actually complete bullshit. There's no way that Rob could have heard about his sister's death, realized Jason was still alive, and made it all the way to Camp Crystal Lake. Especially, he hitchhikes the entire way. There's no physical way in universe that this could have happened. Yet, for me anyway, that's really not an issue. By giving us multiple storylines, it's easy to look past the little flaws in each. Admittedly, they could have just made this take place later, like Jason could have escaped the morgue and we could have gone like 2 weeks later, but whatever. Oh, and if somehow our quickly developing storylines don't hold your interest, old Joe's got a backup plan for that too. This thing is chock full of that special ingredient every slasher film comes to the table for. Murder. Of course, one big issue with a lot of modern slashers is a reliance on gore over other forms of visual storytelling. Joseph Zito don't play that game though, and has a lot of fun with his scenes of violence. Just take a look at this playful use of lighting. See, that's imagination, and it's a smart, conservative approach to violence that I guess Tom Savini got bored. While the suspense associated with the stalk and slash sequences is certainly lowered to the point of near extinction here, that doesn't mean Zito doesn't have any aspirations in that department. Wisely, he provides us with several options for hero characters, most notably Rob, who is set up as a foe for Jason and a love interest for Trish, only to meet the same fate as 98% of the rest of the cast. The same cast, by the way, who are given just the right amount of development to furnish sympathy, including a couple love stories, a phenomenal stoner gimmick, that fucking dance, and a dash of legitimately just suspenseful moments. Hey, is homeboy here gonna make it to the dock in time? Nope, cause he's got a spear gun to the dick. It's okay though, this movie has dicks to spare, we've gone over this. Oh, and it's okay if you don't like Rob's "he's killing me" scene. Cause then Jason rips down this Crispin Glover meat wreath in pursuit of Trish, and if that shit doesn't make you dismiss any and all flaws that came before, then I just don't think you and I can be friends. Fucking yas, queen! Sorry, is that appropriation? I don't know. Y'all, this movie is fucking sick. Speaking of which, I love the choice to just kill off every last one of the horny teen group. Again, the filmmakers knew what the audience wanted at this point, even if they were also willing to take a more sly, perhaps artful approach to many of the deaths, rather than give in to gorehound desires. To an extent. On to that finale. Part 4 almost makes the same mistake as Part 3 in trying to copy the ending of a previous entry. In this case, Tommy makes the same logical leap as Ginny in Part 2, using his, I guess, understanding of monsters in place of child psychology. Sweep it under the rug. I can't say it's a perfectly thought out idea, but Zito wisely uses this concept to lead directly into that simply iconic final moment, followed by the suggestion that this horrific experience has perhaps led to a new, more diminutive killer. Of course, the producers would wind up pussing out on that potential, but whatever, that's a discussion for next time. So yeah, the final chapter doesn't have the more realistic characters of Part 1, nor does it take its time to build like Part 2. But it's a funny, gore-drenched production that always has something going on and gives us a Jason that rivals Richard Brooker's already great version from the previous installment. Yeah. Although I'd say Brooker still carries the gold. This is also just the best made of the bunch, with Joe Zito not just making a great slasher film, but a great film in general. If one movie in this franchise can best exemplify what newer slashers should aim for with an eye toward masked madmen making blood slushies out of nubile bodies rather than stringing out the audience for an identity reveal, it's Friday the 13th, the final chapter. So yeah, what makes this one special? What's the unique thing that stands out about the final chapter? You know, there's Tommy Jarvis, there's Jason dying, but really, it's just that it's the best fucking one.
I think I'm in love.
All right, let's look at this thing. Doop-a-doop-doop, a-doop-a-dee-doop-doop-a-doo, lip-a-doop. All right, so, Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Now, of course, we get the iconic poster on this one. It looks great. Open that sucker up. You can take this out, and teaser poster. Yay! You won't be switching that out anytime soon. Admittedly, it's hard to beat this, but again, I could have used some alternate artwork here. Obviously, this does have, one version of the screenshots, and then you get the other version on the other side. Who gives a fuck? So, let's see here. On the back, it mentions new 4K scan from the original camera negative, which that'll be the last time we get a new 4K scan in this set. The only other new scan is going to be for Jason Goes to Hell, which that's a 2K scan of the inner positive, I believe. And that's not the worst thing. Most of these look great. Obviously they had a Blu-ray release before, so this is just copying over from. A lot of these scans look fine. Could they look better? Sure, but they must look fine. That said, it would have been cool if we could have gotten new 4K scans of all of them, but you know what, whatever. At least we got the first 4. And this is such a great entry that just to have a new scan, to get that restored mono track, to get the 5.1 sound as well, awesome, fantastic. As far as the actual special features, aside from the Fangoria article, the TV spots, and the radio spots, we don't get anything new. Everything else is old. That said, so we get 2 audio commentaries. We get one by director Joseph Zito, screenwriter Barney Cohen, and editor Joel Goodman. And these guys are great. I listened to the entire movie. I'm going to back it up. I watched this movie 3 times for this review. I didn't have to. I've watched this movie a lot in the past. I watched it once just to, refresh. And then I started listening to the Joseph Zito, Barney Cohen, and Joel Goodman commentary. And I just had to keep going, so I listened to the entire thing. And then I went ahead and by this point, by the way, I write these scripts as I'm watching the movie for the first time. So I didn't have to do this, really. I could have just listened to chunks and said, okay, that's good enough. I can listen to it later, but I'll just say in the review that it's a really good commentary. I could have done that. I did not. So I listened to the full commentary, learned a lot about the production. A lot of stuff that I mentioned in this review actually is mentioned in the commentary, plus so much more. There's a few things that I didn't necessarily get exactly right as far as intention, but I stand by it as far as how the movie, what it gives off. And then I listened to the other audio commentary by Adam Green and Joe Lynch, so a fan audio commentary by 2 really awesome horror directors. And man, that's a good commentary. That is like, mwah. I love hearing 2 dudes who are filmmakers not only apply that lens to the film, but also just hearing them love it as much as I do is really nice. Like, it's almost therapeutic. Like, if you want a nice therapy for these current times, listen to this commentary. It is so nice. It's a warm-hearted, just wonderful experience. So, highly recommend these commentaries. I know they're the old ones. You've probably already listened to them if you're a huge fan, but trust me, if you haven't listened to these commentaries yet, so great. So great. Beyond that, my favorite bit, by the way, in the Adam Green and Joe Lynch, I don't remember which one says it, but one of them says, it's like they took a John Hughes cast and put them in a slasher movie. And that is exactly right. That's actually, I think, one of the reasons that the cast here works so well, is they are based on archetypes from that sort of John Hughes 80s comedy sort of film, and they're not necessarily just made for slasher fodder. They are characters that we, I mean the 80s audience, and really, I guess modern audience too, recognize from other things. And I think that really helps the film. That's a big boon for the film's success. Then we get slashed scenes with Joseph Zito commentary. It's fascinating to hear Zito just explain not only the production mechanics behind these shots, but also his disinterest in violent gore just for the sake of it. This guy knows how to build a scene. He knows what makes just the right amount of gore. It could be argued that some of the shots could use a little bit more gore, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. And I think that he uses those little bits of Tom Savini's magic to really nail it. Also, the MPAA. Come on, you got to work around that. I think it's nice that, he can put together a great scare, a great death, and even if it is cut by the MPAA, you don't have to, it's not that big of a deal. And this was cut substantially. There's a lot of scenes that were cut down quite a bit. And you can kind of see in these scenes that he presents, kind of what sort of violence you could have seen. And, you know, sure, it again, it could be gorier. I think it's just fine the way it is, especially with that final Jason death. I mean, let's just do it one more time. So then we get Jason's Unlucky Day. That's 25 years after Friday the 13th, the final chapter. It's 11 minutes. It's another one of those old special features from the previous release. And it goes through the background, the production of the movie. Includes Ted White calling Corey Feldman a mean little kid, which I'm all about that. This pleases the Michael. Lots of discussion about the various potential deaths for Jason, stuff like that. Again, 11 minutes, not that big. Then the Lost Ending, that's 3 minutes. It is basically just footage that they shot for a different ending, which features a bit more of that like very Friday the 13th shock ending kind of thing, the dream ending. It has commentary by Joseph Zito and Kimberly Beck, who kind of describes what she was thinking during her performance in that scene. Soundtrack again is lost, so it's, you know, there's no actual audio for it. Jimmy's Dead Dance Moves, that's 2 minutes. That's just behind the scenes on those fucking dance moves, which I'm all for it, man. It's a cute little featurette. And, you know, if you can string a whole featurette out of Crispin Glover dancing, kudos. Let's see. The Crystal Lake Massacres Revisited Part 1 is 18 minutes. That's a mockumentary about the events of the films. I'm not a big fan of this one. I don't think it's done particularly well. It's not even that it's bad. It's just it's not really my taste. But, you know, it's a cute idea, and if you're into it and it's sort of kitschy appeal, then awesome. You get more of them in the future, because this is just part 1. And then Lost Tales from Camp Blood Part 4, 6 minutes. This one's in a hospital. Trailer, stills galleries, nothing else too crazy. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, gets my big ol' seal of approval, which means nothing to anyone. I love this film. I've loved it since I was, I don't know, a preteen at least. It's such a great, just slasher movie. Like, it's one of the best slasher movies ever made, bar none. And it also just happens to be the best of this franchise. But that doesn't mean that we are just not going to see any more good movies. There's plenty more really solid Friday the 13th to come. And as per my thesis, they all have their own unique special qualities that makes them worthwhile, and I'll get to those next time. Thank you so much for watching this rather long video. If you want to hear me talk more about Friday the 13th, more just about Part 4, or just about other slasher franchises, whatever, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of this movie. Do you disagree? Do you somehow think it's even better than I do, that it's like the Citizen Kane of horror movies or something? Let me know. I would love to hear your opinions. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe, like this video, just tear the heart out of that fucking bell icon. I realize that I'm skipping ahead 2 entries, but just tear it out. And check out the Patreon, all that stuff. Anyway, until next time, go watch a movie.